I'm now going to give you a little behind-the-scenes exclusive peek at my new film for VCA Pictures. Come on over.
For 2 decades, Ginger Lynn has been known as an adult film superstar. But her real life has been marked by pain, rejection, and above all, by a fierce will to survive. Ginger Lynn Allen was born on December 14, 1962 in Rockford, Illinois, an industrial town 80 miles northwest of Chicago. Ginger's 17-year-old father, Wayne, was a mechanic at the local Air Force Base. Her 19-year-old mother, Marilyn, worked as a switchboard operator.
My mother was abused as a child, and I was conceived, in my opinion, as a device to get my father to marry my mother.
Wayne was a reluctant new parent at best.
He liked to have fun. He liked to gamble. He liked to drink. He liked to go to bars. He liked to play pool. He liked to play darts. He was gone a lot.
Money was tight in the Allen household. To make ends meet, the young couple moved in with Wayne's parents, Evelyn and Robert Allen.
I would guess that there were times my father may not have been faithful, and I think that eventually my mother just got tired of it. She was lonely.
In 1965, Ginger's parents found a place of their own. 2 years later, in September 1967, Marilyn and Wayne had a second child, Carrie, but Wayne wasn't much help.
My father running around and doing the things that he did made it even more difficult for my mother, and she had her own insecurities and her own fears and her own angers, and they were just all taken out on me.
In 1968, Wayne and Marilyn separated. Wayne moved back into his parents' house. As alleged in court documents submitted on Ginger's behalf, there was no one left in Ginger's house to protect Ginger.
I grew up being told that I was homely, I was ugly, I was evil, I was going to burn in hell, I was a cheater, a liar, I was going to turn out just like my father, who I thought was fabulous. And so it just everything that I did was wrong. I could do no right.
After her parents separated, 6-year-old Ginger developed a close relationship with her grandparents.
When my mother was being overly abusive and things got real tough, my grandfather somehow knew.
Ginger's mother made her come home right after school. Marilyn didn't allow any of Ginger's friends in the house. Soon, the 7-year-old girl began to retreat.
I had a pretend playmate named Sony that I played with and talked to, and she would listen to me when I was sad or lonely.
Since the house was off limits to Ginger's friends, the youngster turned the backyard into her play area.
I would put plays on in my garage and get all of the other neighborhood children to be in them, and we would charge people a dime to come and see us dance and sing, and we used to dance to Mr. Bojangles. We used to do Mr. Bojangles and wear all the little raggy clothes.
But not even Ginger's childhood fantasies eased her anger towards her mother.
I remember drying the dishes, and I would have the knife, and I would want to kill my mom, because she was always telling me, you know, you're going to end up here, and we're going to put you away, and you're going to be in a reform school, and you're going to end up in jail, and you're going to just all these things, and everything was so cruel.
By 1973, Marilyn and Wayne filed for divorce after a 5-year separation. Ginger and her sister Carrie remained in their mother's custody. A year later, 12-year-old Ginger took desperate measures. She swallowed more than a dozen of her mother's prescription sleeping pills. According to court documents, Ginger said Marilyn ignored her, while Ginger spent the next 4 days semi-conscious.
I wasn't looking for attention. I wasn't looking for approval. I wanted to die. I was afraid that I would kill my mother. I was afraid of what I was going to do.
Ginger recovered, but for the next year, her life continued to be a living hell. On a summer night in 1976, 13-year-old Ginger and her mother clashed one last time.
I remember the belt coming down my back just over and over and over. And I didn't cry. I'd stopped crying a long time before that. And I just turned around, and on one of the downswings, I grabbed the belt, and I put it around her neck. And I was pulling it, and and the phone rang, and it was my grandfather.
Ginger began screaming at the top of her lungs.
And he was there within probably 60 seconds. And that was the last night that I lived there.
Ginger was reunited with her father, who still lived with his parents. For the first time in her life, Ginger felt safe. Childhood friend Patty Hamilton lived nearby.
They played the role of her parents most of the time. when she was young, and they did most of the care and watched over her.
My grandparents represented love, honesty, friendship. They were my best friends. They were everything.
But Ginger didn't tell her grandparents everything. By 13, Ginger regularly drank alcohol and used marijuana.
Right before I moved in with my grandparents, I'd begun to smoke pot, I'd begun to drink, and I'd had a crush on a boy since I was 9.
Ginger also became sexually active.
I was 13 years old and I had sex for the first time. And we used a condom and it broke. And I became pregnant at 13.
Ginger decided to get an abortion.
There was a doctor, and abortions were not something that anybody did, and I said, I will be dead if you don't do this. And I talked him into doing it.
After the abortion, Ginger continued her wild ways.
Her grandparents were very good role models for her, but at the same time, I think that she probably didn't have too many restrictions on her.
I was out of control and getting crazy, and I met a guy, and I stayed with him for 3 days.
In the spring of 1979, Ginger broke up with the boy who got her pregnant. Soon after, Ginger met Robert Salamone at a gas station. Ginger was pumping gas to earn a few extra bucks.
This guy pulls up one day on a Harley, and I asked him out. It was the perfect boyfriend. Somebody who's 5 years older than me. He's 21. I'm still in high school.
She was a lot of fun, you know, wild for those days. We both were. We like to have a lot of fun, go out and do a lot of things, go to a lot of parties.
I started hanging out with a whole different crowd of people. We would take tractors and attach flatbed trailers to them, cover them with hay, put a barrel of beer in the back, and just go down the country roads from bar to bar and play pool and dance.
Ginger Allen graduated from Rockford West High in the spring of 1980. A few weeks later, Ginger and Bobby split.
I think both pretty much just started going our own ways and kept kind of bumping into each other for a while, and then all of a sudden one day it was just over.
In June, Ginger's dad, Wayne Allen, married his longtime fiancée, Sandy Proctor. Sandy was a divorced mother of 2. Ginger's stepbrother, Keith Proctor.
We moved in with Ginger and her father and his parents. And so suddenly there were 2, 4, 6, 7 of us.
Ginger wasn't happy about her new extended family.
It was hard for her. It was hard for everyone. She lived there in the house with us for a while.
And at this point in time, I was working at a place called Playback, and we sold stereos. And my girlfriend Julie worked there, and she said, oh, I've got a roommate, and we have enough room, come and move in with us.
And she did. 17-year-old Ginger also found a new boyfriend with a dark past.
I thought he was just the coolest guy I'd ever met. He'd been in prison. He was a drug dealer. It was like all the bad people are who I wanted to be with and where I wanted to be. So I told my girlfriend Julie that I found a boyfriend and I'm moving in. So I did.
Coming up.
I never thought of myself as pretty, and I never thought of myself as sexy, but I looked at these girls and I thought, well, I can do that.
And later, Ginger and the movie star.
There was a lot of craziness, a lot of self-induced, maniacal behavior.
Tonight, Anna Nicole brings her better half home for a tour of the new house.
We moved Howard Marshall, actually half of Howard Marshall.
This is the fireplace. There's the kitchen.
And you'll never guess his final resting place. It's an all-new episode you can't miss. The Anna Nicole Show, tonight at 10, only on E! For the first time, E! and Prince Edward go inside the lives and tragedies of the royal family. Royalty A to Z premieres next Sunday at 8, only on E!
By 1980, 17-year-old Ginger Allen was headed for trouble. She was hooked on alcohol and lived with a drug-dealing boyfriend. Ginger knew she had to change her ways, and she had to do it fast. In 1981, Ginger Allen's grandparents moved to Lucerne Valley, California.
My grandmother's dream was to move to California and live out here. She'd always wanted to do this.
Evelyn and Robert Allen asked Ginger to move out west with them.
I decided that I was madly in love and that I wasn't going.
But Ginger's relationship with her druggy boyfriend was going nowhere fast.
I walked into my bathroom one night and I found a guy shooting up on the toilet. I'd never seen needles. It wasn't a place that I wanted to be.
Instead, Ginger traded her drug-dealing lover for a new boyfriend with a new car. In September 1982, Ginger received a call from her grandmother. Evelyn had bad news. Ginger's grandfather suffered a massive heart attack.
I was told that if anybody could make him want to live, it was me. So I flew out. I had a suitcase, and my grandmother had parked their fifth-wheel trailer in a little trailer park outside of Loma Linda.
Evelyn and Ginger spent every waking hour taking care of Robert Allen.
That was very difficult for her, having to deal with it, suddenly having to be, being 20 years old and having to be the person who was taking care of her dying grandfather.
And I would go to the hospital back and forth from the trailer all day, every day.
In November 1982, Robert Allen passed away. Ginger was devastated.
When my grandpa died, it was like a part of me was gone. And he was the one person who always believed in me, no matter what. My poppy believed in me. And he was the only one who had always been there. And I think I got angry. I think I got really angry that he wasn't there anymore, and I decided I was never gonna let anybody in like that again, and I was never gonna love anybody like that again.
Despite her grief, Ginger did her best to assist Evelyn.
She helped make arrangements to have his body taken care of properly there and shipped back home.
Evelyn Allen decided to stay in Illinois, but 19-year-old Ginger wanted to go back to California. Former boyfriend Robert Salamoni.
She loved California. She just, was infatuated with ocean. She just couldn't wait to get far away from the Rock River and the flat land.
After her grandfather's funeral, Ginger packed up and broke the news to her current boyfriend. A few days later, Ginger returned to California.
So I was living in this trailer, literally, in a trailer park in Loma Linda. I started working at the Musicland store, and I thought, I live in California, this is really going to be cool and easy and fun.
But Ginger soon found that her job was more than she wanted.
I became a troubleshooter, so I went from store to store, getting them back into shape, restocking the stores, hiring new crews, and getting the store from the red into the black. I was working 70 or 80 hours a week.
In 1983, Ginger had enough of Loma Linda. She packed up again and moved to Huntington Beach, 36 miles south of Los Angeles. Ginger found an apartment and worked at a music store at the local mall. A few weeks later, Ginger's boyfriend showed up in his Corvette with no job and car payments.
So I'm supporting myself and paying his car payment, and I decided that I would look in the paper and see if I could find some other work. The first ad I saw, it was to go and dance at bachelor parties.
With her boyfriend along for protection, Ginger reported to work.
I walk in, and I hadn't thought it through. It was all men. I'm the only girl. They want me naked. And I couldn't do it. I ran out. I grabbed the music. It was horrible.
But Ginger didn't give up.
So I found an ad that said figure models wanted $500 to $5,000 per day. I called the number, and a man by the name of Jim South said, "Come on up."
Jim South was the owner of World Modeling, a Los Angeles talent agency that specialized in finding figure models.
We explain to people when they call, mostly girls, that nudity is required.
And I walked into this office with the paneled walls and the shag carpeting, and this man with big sideburns with kind of a southern accent and a pompadour look. And there were pictures on the wall, and they were these beautiful naked girls. There were about 10 of them.
She was a little nervous at first, of course, like most people are, but she seemed like she caught on pretty quick.
I never thought of myself as pretty, and I never thought of myself as sexy, but I looked at these girls and I thought, well, I can do that.
When somebody initially comes in, we take just a couple of standing nude Polaroids. In other words, we have to have something of Ginger Lynn or anybody else that comes in to show photographers what the body is like.
Jim South instantly knew he had a winner. South wasted no time and called his friend, former Playboy centerfold, now photographer, Suze Randall.
We obviously shot her as fast as possible, trying to beat all the other guys to it. And then one does a whole variety of shoots just to try and get the mood of the girl.
She's calling you darling and sweetie and many other names that I can't use. But when she said them, you laughed and you giggled and it made you feel good.
Shoulder, yeah, soft shoulder, yes. I mean, she was such a hot little tamale, just naturally very, very sexual and very, very pretty.
In September 1983, Ginger posed for her first cover spread for a men's magazine called Cherry. Ginger was excited. Back in Ginger's hometown of Rockford, Illinois, her friends couldn't believe their eyes.
A friend of mine came to my house and threw this porno magazine on the table and was like, did you see who's in this? No, I haven't seen who's in this. And he opened up the page and he says, now didn't you date that girl? And it was actually a little baffling at first because of the hair and the makeup. I was like, oh my God, yeah, I guess I did.
Meanwhile, Ginger had to make a decision.
My agent, Jim, just sent me from one photo shoot to the next. And I was working every day. What I did, I was still working at Musicland. And I remember going to Jim, if I'm going to quit my real job, I need to know I'm going to make $2,000 a month or I can't quit.
South quickly put Ginger's mind at ease.
I said, you know, don't worry, you're going to make that amount of money. So I quit my job at Musicland and began doing all of these different photo layouts.
But before Ginger Allen could become a superstar in the business, she had to take the next step. Coming up.
I was saying, are you sure you didn't stumble in the wrong door? You know, honey, this is an adult movie here.
By 1983, 20-year-old Ginger Allen made a name for herself posing for pinup magazines as Ginger Lynn. But Ginger didn't stop at posing nude. She was ready to take it all the way. In late 1983, Ginger Allen was presented with a new opportunity. Ginger's modeling agent wanted Ginger to take the next step, acting.
Most of the girls that start with us, their primary interest is getting into magazines and doing just the nude modeling. Then as they meet, and they do meet a lot of nice people in the industry, then they feel like they could take a chance in doing movies.
My agent said to me one day, there's some people who would like you to do commercial. And I'm thinking, yes, the toothpaste, I've really made it now. And I didn't know that commercial meant adult, that it meant porn, it meant sex on camera. And when he told me what it meant, I was insulted.
South knew Ginger was too good to lose.
Most of the people that use Ginger, if not all, wanted to reuse her and reuse her. And that is the sign of somebody that can become a superstar in the adult business.
Ginger became more and more curious about the business.
I met a girl in Jim's office who was beautiful, and she was articulate. And I said, you know, you don't do porn. And she said, yeah, I do porn. And I said, well, how do you do it? What's it like? You just go and have sex with a stranger? That's gross. She said, no, it's like when you go to a party and you see this really cute guy across the room and you know that you guys are going to hook up. You just get that thing and you know you're going to do it, but you flirt before you do it all night long. So I went back to my agent's office and said, okay, I'm going to do it. I want to pick my own partners. I want to make sure I like the script. I want $1,000 per scene, and I'm only doing this, this, and this.
South told Ginger her demands were unreasonable.
He says I'll never work. He's laughing at me. And about 2 weeks later, this beautiful tall blonde walks in, and her name is Svetlana. She was the gong girl on the Gong Show. She and her husband were producing 2 films in Hawaii, and they were looking for someone who had never been on film before, someone who was fresh, someone who was young, someone who could hold a movie but be uninhibited. They knew my rules. They said, fine. So I signed the contract and I agreed to these 2 films. I'm going to be the female lead. I'm going to go to Hawaii.
As a screen test, South asked Ginger to make a pair of loops, short, hardcore silent movies. In the first one, Ginger was paired with future adult film legend Tom Byron.
I was still fairly new in the business back then too, you know, so I was kind of like, you know, learning my way into the business and whatnot. And she made me feel totally comfortable.
He's telling me I'm pretty, and I'm thinking, well, it's cute. Okay, well, I can do this. So this is an 8mm loop. There's no sound. The director's saying, lick your lips. And that's what you do.
The thing that was kind of surprising is that she wasn't timid. I mean, she was, it was kind of weird, especially back then. She wasn't afraid to be, you know, a sexual being.
Ginger's second loop teamed her with another adult film superstar in the making, actor Ron Jeremy.
I'm going like, good Lord. You know, this girl is adorable. And the thing is so sweet and innocent. I was saying, are you sure you didn't stumble in the wrong door? You know, honey, this is an adult movie here. You know, she looks so cute and innocent.
Ginger was not as smitten with Jeremy.
I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, okay, I would never in a million years have sex with this man. But if I can do it with this guy, not look at him, just feel the pleasure and get through this, that I can do anything, then I know I'll be able to handle the lead in this film.
In December 1983, filming began on Surrender in Paradise, Ginger's first adult feature. The movie introduced Ginger among a bevy of beautiful women marooned on an island with a man. On the first day of shooting, Ginger became speechless.
Every time I'm supposed to say my dialogue, I see this microphone and I start to laugh. I can't talk. We shoot this scene probably 20 times. I can't do it. I can have sex on camera. I'm not going to talk.
Ginger got over the jitters.
You want to kiss me?
She also turned 21 on location. When the project was finished, she began her second film in Hawaii, Hanky Panky. Hanky Panky reunited Ginger and Ron Jeremy.
Now here I am in Hawaii, you know, and there she is again, you know, and it's like, you know, all these beautiful girls, you know, me, Jamie Gillis, Joy Butler, and a few other actors. It's like, there are a lot more girls than us on the island. So, you know, life just gets no better than this.
The work was easy for Ginger Lynn. Acting brought back memories of her childhood.
It was playing in my garage again. It was dancing to Mr. Bojangles. It was being somebody else.
You're beautiful, but I don't care right now.
Throughout 1984, Ginger's adult film career took off. Her Girl Next Door appeal brought offers from the industry's top producers, including photographer Suze Randall.
I probably was part of the beginning for her making adult movies, because we were making something called Suze's Centerfolds at the time, and we were making X-rated movies. We spent quite a lot of money, and we took a lot of pride in our work, and we thought we had wonderful scripts, and because we didn't realize that people just want to have a wonderful hot sex scene without the trappings. But in those days we were trying very hard to be filmmakers.
Word of Ginger's new career soon reached her hometown of Rockford, Illinois. Ginger tried to soften the news by telling childhood friend Patty Hamilton about her nude modeling. Patty was stunned.
And then she said to me, I've got something else to tell you. And I, for the life of me, could have never, ever imagined what she was going to say. What else could there be? This is what I thought. And she told me about the adult films. And, you know, we said our goodbyes, and I just kind of got used to the idea, and the word was getting around town.
Ginger's father, Wayne Allen, found out from a stranger who sat beside him in a bar.
Wayne took a picture out of his wallet of Ginger and boasted about his daughter, and the gentleman pointed to it and said, I saw her in a film at the adult bookstore on 11th Street. And her father didn't believe it, and my mother didn't believe it, and they were, this man convinced them that they should go take a look, and they did, and they went down to the store and they took a look, and they both realized that it was her.
Wayne Allen immediately called his daughter.
The words that came out of his mouth make a truck driver look like a saint. He was furious. And he told me not to come home for Christmas, that I was disowned, not to speak to my younger brothers or sisters. My grandfather was rolling over in his grave.
Wayne and his family soon began receiving hate mail.
Nothing signed on these notes. Also criticizing our parents for supposedly the way that they raised Ginger and allowing her to do this. And why did you let her do this? Well, she's an adult. There's nothing we can do about it.
There was also nothing her family could do when Ginger discovered the feel-good drug of the 80s, cocaine.
When my parents found out what I was doing, when I was disowned, I had lost the acceptance from my father that I'd always had. Even though my father was gone a lot, he still loved and accepted me. My little sister couldn't talk to me. My grandmother, none of them would talk to me, and I started to do a lot of drugs.
Ginger continued making hardcore films in 1984. Her income skyrocketed, but her family's rejection destroyed her.
I went on a downward spiral. When my father made that phone call, the money that I'd made, it all went up my nose.
Ginger still managed to work. The actress was honored for her 1984 movies at the first X-rated Critics Organization Awards.
The winner is Miss Ginger Lynn.
Ginger was named Starlet of the Year, Best Female Performer, and Video Vixen, the triple crown of the adult film business.
Thank you very much.
The little girl from Rockford, Illinois, accepted her awards in pain.
I have to get up there and I don't know what to say. You know, I'm thanking my grandma for giving me my spunk and my energy, and I'm crying like a geek.
By the end of 1984, Ginger's career was going strong, and so was her use of cocaine.
I was the person at the party that never wanted the party to end. I never ordered a drink or never did a line. I did everything so excessively.
Coming up,
they started this formula with Ginger Lynn, and it worked, and boy did it work.
In 1984, former nude model Ginger Lynn became a celebrated actress in the underworld of adult films. But porn was about to invade America's living rooms, taking Ginger Lynn with it. By 1984, 21-year-old Ginger Lynn had more than 36 adult movies on her resume, from short films to full-length features. For her efforts, Ginger made up to $10,000 a picture. Producers soon realized that Ginger guaranteed big profits. The actress knew it too and took advantage of the opportunity.
I always have wanted to go shopping on Rodeo Drive.
Whatever I asked for, they would give me. And I started thinking, if they're going to continuously increase my salary, pay me more, never say no, what are these guys making?
In late 1984, Ginger met another rising star, Stephen Hirsch. Then a brash 23-year-old, Hirsch was the founder of Vivid Video. Vivid was located in the heart of LA's San Fernando Valley. The company capitalized on a new technology, home videotapes. Hirsch was determined to marry home video with adult entertainment.
I think we were fortunate in coming along at a time where it was really an explosion in the video business, and no longer did you have to go to an adult bookstore to buy an adult film. You were able to go into your local video store. We saw that transformation happening.
5, 4, 3, and action.
By combining inexpensive productions with fancy packaging, Vivid Video helped coin a new term, designer porn.
Steve Hirsch was well trained in the business because his father had had a company for years before that. Well, I had worked for his dad a couple of times. And he wanted to make a pizzazz into the market.
In 1984, Ginger signed an exclusive pact with Vivid. The agreement made her the first in a long line of contract stars in adult film, another Vivid innovation. In return, Ginger would earn top dollar for each of her performances.
Normally, I charged $1,000 per scene. There were many scenes where I charged $5,000 for the scene. If they were going to put me on the box cover, they paid to have me on the box cover, and they would pay $5,000, $10,000 for that one scene because I knew what they were going to do at that point.
Vivid Video teamed Ginger with the leading XXX artists of the day, including Hollywood writer Penny Antine. Antine wrote adult film scripts under the pen name Raven Touchstone.
Is it different from writing mainstream? Well, yes, it is, in that you have to write a story that incorporates certain sex scenes that have certain combinations. Now, sometimes they want a girl, 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 boy, 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 girl, 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 whatever they are. And beyond that, it's story.
Penny saw a rare quality in Ginger.
Ginger had something that Marilyn Monroe also had. She had a vulnerability. You wanted to take care of her.
Ginger and Penny's first production, entitled Ginger, became a XXX blockbuster. Within a month, the video sold 6,000 copies, a huge number at the time.
It went right up to #1 on the charts and sort of told us that our thought process was correct, which was focus on a girl, have unique sort of mainstream packaging, and a good movie, and if you put those things together, it would work.
Throughout 1985, Ginger Lynn headlined one Vivid Video after another. Most of the movies incorporated Ginger's name in the titles. While the titles were funny, the sex was hardcore. With every new movie, Ginger became more daring.
I wanted to be able to be as completely uninhibited as I wanted to be. And as a viewer, I wanted you to watch, and rather than go, oh, she didn't just do that, I wanted you to look at it and go, honey, you want to try that? And that's what happened.
Ginger also inspired a new wave of actors. Ginger's 1985 movie Poonies, a takeoff on the 1985 film The Goonies, introduced future adult film queen Bianca.
Let's have a bumblebee. We were the Poonies, and we were on the verge of losing our home. So they were going to foreclose on the home. So we had to do the best we could to come up with the rent money and to keep it alive and well. And so we were on a mission to do that. And in between, you know, of course, having the sex scenes. And Sharon Mitchell was in that one as well.
It's not loaded.
In 1985, Mitchell was an established adult film actress who saw superstar written all over Ginger. Mitchell now runs AIM, the Adult Industry Medical Healthcare Foundation.
Vivid was just on the verge of mainstreaming pornography as we know it today. And they started this formula with Ginger Lynn, and it worked. And boy, did it work. I mean, she was instantly skyrocketed to mainstream proportions.
By the end of 1985, Ginger Lynn and Vivid Video were the biggest things in adult films. That year, Ginger earned $134,000 as an adult film star. She appeared to love every minute.
It was a very nice, symbiotic, mutual relationship because Vivid helped make her even a bigger star. And then she also helped Vivid get on the map, too, and become a real contender.
Ginger Lynn's beautiful face and figure appeared in video stores everywhere, and each new Ginger movie flew off the shelf. Ginger seemed to have won the recognition she craved since childhood.
I made money. I traveled the world. I had people bringing me to Japan for 2 weeks to sign autographs and putting me up at the best hotels and doing press conferences. And when I spoke, people wanted to hear what I had to say.
Yet Ginger sensed something was missing from the picture.
I was living in my own soap opera, my own make-believe world that was real.
In 1985, Ginger's make-believe bubble began to burst. That year, Ginger clashed bitterly with her adult film rival, Tracy Lords. Few apparently knew that Lords was only 16, a minor, and acting in adult films illegally.
I met Tracy Lords in a parking lot across the street from Jim South's office. Tracy was wearing shorts and a little t-shirt with no bra on and high heels, and she looked like a slut. I detested her.
Despite her feelings, Ginger worked with Lords on 5 adult movies.
I'm sure part of it was she was my competition, but there was something I didn't like about Tracy.
The constant battle to be the biggest adult film star wore on Ginger. Each new film usually demanded more difficult and often unpleasant scenes. Ginger responded to the pressure with more drugs and alcohol. In 1986, while filming Blame It on Ginger, the actress found she had to get high in order to perform. Director Henri Pichard.
We were pushing the envelope on this scene, and she did it with great resentment. She was really angry at me for doing it. We finally finished for the day, and we were driving back home, and we were staying on location at some motel. And she said, I said, "You're in a bad mood." She said, "Well, you'd be cranky if you had your head in the toilet."
To ask me if it was apparent to me that Ginger had to do drugs to do movies, no, it wasn't, because I was doing the same drugs with her. We were kept in this era of porn and drugs. One facilitates the other. I don't think one necessarily causes the other, but one facilitates the other, and it makes it almost this pleasant sort of anesthetic.
By early 1986, 23-year-old Ginger Lynn reached a crossroad. The star of 69 adult films announced she was burned out. Few of Ginger's friends were surprised.
A woman's career in this business cannot go on forever, specifically having sex in front of a camera.
This is an industry that can put some miles on you emotionally, and sometimes the money's just not worth it.
Money wasn't the only issue. Ginger Lynn was tired of being Ginger Lynn.
If I do something that I don't want to do for money, I'm a whore. And I never want to be a whore. Been a slut many times, never a whore. So I went onto these movie sets. I didn't want to be there, didn't want to be doing it. My attitude had changed.
And it was all a lie. It wasn't a lie.
Ginger wanted something more. She wanted acceptance as a real actress in Hollywood instead of the San Fernando Valley.
She wanted mainstream. I mean, from the get-go. When she was a little girl, she did Mickey and Judy. I mean, she got all the neighborhood kids together. They did, oh, let's put a show on in the garage. And they did. That's how she amused herself as a kid.
In early 1986, Ginger Lynn, who reached the height of XXX stardom, quietly gave it all up. Ginger said goodbye to friends, left the adult film world, and planned to never look back.
There was no big event that changed. I changed. I was just done.
Coming up.
Doing a naked Polaroid has nothing to do with this role. And at this point, I'm trying with everything I have to hold back the tears.
Tomorrow, what makes someone the king?
Long sideburns.
His hips.
His lip.
25 years after the king, Brooke Burke honors Elvis with a star-studded rank,
He could do it all.
where the biggest celebrities are ranking all things Elvis.
My mom said he was a great kisser.
Rank everything Elvis. All new, tomorrow at 10 on E! The viewers have spoken. The Anna Nicole Show had the biggest reality series premiere in cable history.
2 thumbs up.
The Anna Nicole Show, Sunday nights at 10 on E!
In February 1986, 23-year-old Ginger Lynn left the adult entertainment industry. Ginger didn't want to be a porn star any longer. She wanted to be a legitimate actress. In order to make the jump to the Hollywood mainstream, Ginger knew she had to master real acting skills.
Although I was winning awards for my sexuality and what I was doing in my performances, I thought that I had a lot that I could learn and a long way to go.
Ginger's decision to get out of adult films was enthusiastically supported by friends and especially her family.
We all thought it's not a healthy environment. We're very glad that she's getting out of the adult business.
But escaping her past was easier said than done. Adult filmmaking was illegal in California until 1988. Before then, everyone who made these films, including Ginger, was at risk. Modeling agent Jim South.
You were allowed to watch them, you could rent them, you could buy the tapes, you could do anything you want, but you couldn't make them, produce them, or make them.
By the mid-1980s, as the porn industry grew bigger in Los Angeles, police turned up the heat.
There was a tremendous amount of investigations going on at that time with other heads of companies, manufacturers, distributors. They were really politically trying to crack down on the porn industry as a whole.
With growing frequency, police charged adult filmmakers with violating California's anti-pandering law, a statute customarily used to go after prostitutes.
The pandering law was, if you're paying an actress for sex, she's an escort, and you're a pimp. You're a panderer.
We were consistently harassed by the Vice Squad and the LAPD. You know, it wasn't unusual to be on a set and have them kick in the doors and, you know, freeze and drop your weapons, which was so, I thought, so ridiculous.
In 1986, the crackdown on porn turned up a shocking surprise. Someone tipped authorities that Ginger's former rival, Tracy Lords, was a minor. The revelation ignited a firestorm in the industry. A number of stars who worked with Tracy became entangled in the scandal, including Ginger Lynn.
I was asked to testify against the people that were my friends, against the people that I worked for.
Ginger and co-stars Tom Byron and Harry Reams were all subpoenaed to appear before a grand jury. But Ginger was determined to protect her former colleagues.
I refused to testify. I was told when I refused the first time that if I didn't, they would make my life difficult. Those were the words, if you don't testify, we will make your life difficult. So when I did go before the grand jury, and I didn't know anything, and they were pissed. They were pissed.
The Tracy Lords investigation eventually ended without anyone being convicted of a crime, but the adult film business was left reeling.
The Tracy Lords case was a terrible, terrible time in the industry.
And the cost of the industry, it almost broke the industry's back.
The pressure of this scandal intensified Ginger's drug problem. More than ever, Ginger relied on cocaine to get her through the day. Still, the 24-year-old continued to focus on a mainstream career.
I tried and tried and tried. I called every manager, every agent. Nobody would touch me. Okay.
It is very, very difficult to transition from adult to mainstream films. But it is also very difficult to get into mainstream films, period, no matter where you come from.
Ginger refused to give up.
I sent my photo and resume to a film company that called me in. It was the film Wild Man. I went in, read for the role, I had a call back. I was pretty excited. Went on the callback, had another one. I walked into the third meeting, and Freddie Lincoln, who has been a friend of mine and a director in the adult film industry for years, is sitting there. He says, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "I'm reading for this role." "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm directing the film."
Ever since I saw your file, I've wanted to.
You saw my file?
Well, your file is classified above my clearance level, but your picture isn't.
Ginger landed a small role in Wild Man, but it was a big step for the actress.
Do you have an appointment?
Although the movie went nowhere, Ginger broke into legitimate films.
The work was very slow in the beginning. I found that I got small roles in B films. From there I went to bigger roles in B films, to the leads.
In 1988, Ginger won a lead role in Vice Academy, a campy comedy about two policewomen.
You're busted. Get your hands up now. I play Holly, the police commissioner's daughter, and she's kind of a, you know, she wears little designer suits, and she's a prissy little girl, and she's a brat, and she's funny, and she's sarcastic, and it was a really fun role to play.
Can you be a sweetie and dry me off?
The following year, Ginger won another sexy part in the legitimate film Cleo Leo.
In between, please.
On the set, Ginger struck up a friendship with another former adult film actress, Veronica Hart.
I was quite excited because I've always heard about Ginger Lynn. I might have met her before, but we really hadn't hung out, and was so pleased when I met her on the set because not only is she a wonderful person, but a marvelous performer as well.
Ginger was thrilled to be a part of the Hollywood film world, but the actress often found her characters were limited.
What? I don't know if mainstream Hollywood accepted her so much as they typecast her into roles of prostitutes and dumb blondes.
What I found was happening is a lot of doors were being opened for me as far as casting went. I was able to get into a lot of places. What I discovered was that not everybody had me in because they wanted to cast me in a film.
Ginger's friend, photographer Suze Randall, got her an audition that left Ginger deeply hurt. The actress claimed she was hit on by the film's very famous director.
So I go in and I say hello, and this man says, well, can we get a nude Polaroid? And I said, no, I'm here to read for this part. And he said, well, how about a topless Polaroid? I said, no, I don't think so. And I'm trying to keep my cool and not know what's going on at the time. And at this point, I'm trying with everything I have to hold back the tears. I don't want to cry. I don't want to, I'm embarrassed. I'm humiliated. I feel degraded. I've never felt degraded on a porno set.
By 1989, 26-year-old Ginger was having a tough time making ends meet. As a mainstream actress, she couldn't command the salary she once did in X-rated films. To pay the bills and support her ever-escalating cocaine habit, the actress started to dance in strip clubs.
She couldn't put one foot in front of the other. She was a horrible dancer. I remember she was terrified to dance. I don't know. And I said, just strut. Don't worry. Just, you know, put your little cute face up in the air and smile and eye contact.
And all I could think of to do is to put on a lot of clothes. I'm wearing 30 items. I've got gloves on top of gloves. I've got a tutu. I've got a belt. I've got a teddy. I've got 3 pair of underwear. I have so many clothes on because I don't know how to dance. Within 30 seconds, I'm naked.
Ginger wasn't happy dancing, and her despair fueled her cocaine use.
I decided to have a party. I invited everybody over to my house. My boyfriend was out of town, and I had a lot to drink, and I was doing a lot of drugs. And 9 days later, I'm still at the party. Nobody else is there. And I remember being on the floor, searching for a rock, and shaking so bad I couldn't do anything. And I'm dry heaving, and I'm so sick. And I called a girlfriend of mine that has been a very close friend for years and years, and I said, you know what, there's something wrong with me. I need some help.
During 1989, Ginger checked into a rehab center in San Diego.
I really didn't think that I was a drug addict or an alcoholic at the time. I just thought that I'd gone a little too far and done a little too much. So I stayed my 30 days, got out, stayed sober for a couple of months, and then went back to my normal routine.
Coming up,
Charlie was one of the first people that I met that could keep up with me, and vice versa.
Go behind palace walls
William doesn't want to be king.
and get ready for an 8-night event.
Girls might really be William's Achilles heel.
For the first time ever, E joins the ultimate royal insider, Prince Edward.
There's some great stories out there.
Now we'll bring you the most revealing look at the British royal family, their lives, their scandals,
Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage.
and their tragedies.
I desperately love my husband.
Royalty A to Z, an E original miniseries, premieres next Sunday at 8, only on E.
When you see your baby for the first time on the new GE 4D ultrasound system, it really is a miracle.
You wanted the best, you got the best. It's the very best of Kiss. Now, for the first time ever, 21 explosive Kiss hits on one CD. The very best of Kiss. An all-new career-spanning collection of 21 Kiss anthems, including Detroit Rock City, Deuce, Strutter, Calling Dr. Love, and Christine 16. All original versions remastered. Get the very best of Kiss. 21 Kiss classics, only $18.98. Call now, and with your paid order, you'll get this cool Kiss patch free. Rock and roll all night with the all-new definitive Kiss collection. The very best of Kiss. History continues. To order the very best of Kiss with your free limited edition Kiss patch, call the number below or send $18.98 for one CD plus $4.95 shipping and handling to the address shown. Rush delivery available. Call now.
What's up, bro? Train a lizard.
Right.
Sweet.
Hey.
Hi.
Tastes great.
Yeah.
Feels even better.
Wow. Man, I think you're trying too hard. So be yourself.
So be you. So be me. It's the biggest reality series premiere in cable history.
2 thumbs up.
Don't miss an all-new episode of The Ann and Nicole Show, tonight at 10, only on E!
In the late 1980s, former XXX star Ginger Lynn tried fiercely to break into legitimate films. The 27-year-old actress scored a few choice parts, but Ginger's past was slowly catching up with her. The 1990s began as a promising decade for Ginger Lynn. Small TV and film roles came her way, and Ginger's social calendar often sparkled with celebrities. One of her favorite dates was rock star Billy Idol.
I met Billy. I was hosting the world's largest wet t-shirt contest out at a hangar in Van Nuys, and Billy's road manager came up and said, Billy's a big fan and he would love to meet you. And Billy and I, we just hit it off right away. We became really, really good friends.
Ginger formed another celebrity friendship in 1990 when she landed a role in the short-lived TV series Sunset Beat. The star was a young actor whose career was then picking up steam, George Clooney.
Okay. We found this in Eddie's apartment.
Nice picture, huh?
How well did you know him?
There's something you should know about Eddie's life. Everything in it was some sort of a fantasy, including our relationship. George Clooney was the motorcycle cop with long hair, kind of the rock and roll cop. And I played a stripper. I was cast as a lot of strippers, but he wasn't really famous like he is now. And he was and is one of the nicest people that I've ever met.
After Sunset Beat, Ginger kept plugging away.
She would call home and she would say, oh, I've got a part in this or I've got a part in that. And even if it was a very small part, she was very excited to be getting somewhat mainstream roles outside of adult films.
I wasn't willing to take no for an answer, and I kept trying and trying and trying. And eventually I got to the point where I was cast in Young Guns 2.
Young Guns 2 was a big-budget Western that featured a troupe of Hollywood's hottest young male stars.
Billy! What have we got here?
How are you, Jane?
Wicked boy!
Ginger was cast in a minor role as a prostitute, but she saw the film as a chance to shine.
She thought that this was probably one of her bigger breaks into mainstream Hollywood.
On the set, star Emilio Estevez introduced Ginger to his brother Carlos, better known as Charlie Sheen. The attraction was mutual.
There was something that I'd never felt before that I felt when I met Charlie. I think we laughed so hard my stomach hurt. He would start a sentence, I would finish it. We knew what each other was thinking. There was just this click that we had.
She was giddy. She was giddy like a little schoolgirl. She was very happy to be with him.
He was sweet, he was kind, and I felt like I'd met my male counterpart. I'd met like the male Ginger Lynn.
In 1990, 24-year-old Charlie Sheen was one of Hollywood's bad boys. His womanizing was as legendary as his partying. Pals called him the Machine. Charlie also had 24 films to his credit and came from a prominent Hollywood family. Ginger was impressed.
I'm sure that she had genuine feelings for him, that she loved him. She didn't view him as a stepping stone or as a tool.
Sheen, however, was engaged to model Kelly Preston. A month after meeting Ginger, Sheen's engagement ended.
I think the way he put it was, "I really dig you." That's what he said. And I teased him and I said, "Well, I really dig you too." And he said, "Well, you're not going to dance at the party tonight, are you? You're not going to get involved in anything?" I said, "No." And from that moment on, we were together non-stop.
She pretty much was, I'd say, basically living out in Malibu with him because I didn't see her very much anymore.
As the couple's affair progressed, Ginger and Charlie learned they had much in common.
We did a lot of partying. At one point, the partying went overboard. It got to be way too much. And Charlie was one of the first people that I met that could keep up with me, and vice versa. So we weren't exactly healthy for each other in that respect.
In August 1990, Charlie checked into a rehab clinic and later admitted his problems.
There was a lot of craziness, a lot of self-induced, maniacal behavior, very self-destructive, very suicidal actually, and it just came, it all came to a head, and it was time to shut it down.
Rehab didn't work for Sheen. He left the clinic.
And finally I just said, "You know what, baby, I'll stop with you. You know, I don't need to party. I'd rather just be with you, and that's fine, and I'll do it with you." So he went back and got out on a day release or a home release, and we'd go to meetings, and we stayed sober together for 14 months.
At the same time Ginger was seeing Sheen, the actress reprised her role as a campy cop in sequels to the 1988 film Vice Academy.
Listen, you conniving hussy, what do you think you're up to?
I'm going to be his assistant.
Yeah, well, he's way out of your league.
What do you mean by that?
He's good-looking and a professional.
Off camera, the actress battled director Rick Sloan over working conditions.
Ginger just became difficult to work with by the time we were doing Vice Academy 3. I can't pinpoint any one reason. It was just, she would be 3.5 hours late every day. She wouldn't have memorized any of her dialogue. She was demanding.
We had better catering on porno sets. We had better, I think I hit my end of the Vice Academy series when I had said, "I'll do this movie, but I really need a trailer. If we're going to be going to 10 locations in one day, I'm working for scale. I'm making no money on these films."
Ginger's money problems only got worse. In 1991, the actress and a host of other adult film stars were charged with tax evasion. The IRS claimed Ginger cheated them out of back taxes, totaling just under $2,100. Ginger was scared.
I was facing 6 years federal prison. They said to me, "Just say you're guilty. Well, you know, just tell us you're guilty and it won't be so bad." I'm not guilty of anything. It was over $2,000 in taxes. Why would I cheat for $2,000?
Tom Byron was another porn star busted in the sting.
I was looking at 12 years in a federal prison for basically having sex in front of a camera and being a shoddy accountant.
The IRS charges sent shockwaves through the adult film industry.
It really hit everyone hard, and Ginger was the first of the women to go. And then all the actors, we were like, "Oh my God," you know, because we always thought, oh, they're going to get the manufacturers and the producers first.
Photographers who worked with Ginger were also questioned.
They dragged the whole industry in, had everybody come in. The prosecutor had us all in a room to testify, you know, and warned us before to testify, you know, on what Ginger had earned and this and that. And he made it quite clear if they didn't testify, he'd be chasing down their tax returns and checking on them.
Ginger's trial in federal court began in May 1991. On June 3rd, the 28-year-old actress was convicted of one count of filing a false tax return. The ordeal left Ginger drained. She still faced up to 3 years in federal prison.
It was ridiculous. Ridiculous what they put her through. And the money they cost her. The money was amazing.
It cost me $400,000 to defend myself for a crime that I didn't commit.
Coming up,
the day that I was sentenced was probably the most frightening day of my life.
Tomorrow, what makes someone the king?
Long sideburns.
His hips.
His lip.
25 years after the king, Brooke Burke honors Elvis with a star-studded rank,
He could do it all.
where the biggest celebrities are ranking all things Elvis.
My mom said he was a great kisser.
Rank everything Elvis. All new, tomorrow at 10 on E. For the first time, E and Prince Edward go inside the lives and tragedies of the royal family. Royalty A to Z premieres next Sunday at 8, only on E.
1990 was a bright year for actress Ginger Lynn. She won small parts in mainstream movies and TV shows, and Ginger fell in love with actor Charlie Sheen. But the blissful days were soon a thing of the past. In June 1991, 28-year-old Ginger Lynn Allen was convicted of one count of filing a false tax return. Ginger was among a number of adult film stars accused of violating the tax laws. The charges were part of a government crackdown on porn.
And all they were doing was trying to make an example of Ginger, who was this young girl who'd been partying a lot, and I think it was like a $2,000 mistake she'd made or something.
With the prison sentence looming, Ginger hired Santa Monica attorney Janet Sherman. Sherman helped the actress with the pre-sentencing investigation.
She was in the worst position that a defendant can be in federal court, and that is to have gone to a jury trial and lost, because then the government is going to seek a harsher punishment than they might have if the defendant had tried to negotiate a plea bargain and settled the case that way.
That summer, Ginger met criminologist Sheila Balkin. Dr. Balkin was hired to examine Ginger's background as part of her defense.
She was quite young when I saw her, and she looked like American apple pie, but inside was somebody trying to survive a very dysfunctional, pathological, destructive past.
Balkin's investigation revealed Ginger's violent childhood, her descent into drugs, and her life in adult films. Balkin reported her findings to the court with a request for leniency.
She had gone through an awful lot that she had to survive, including facing a prison term. And she was really looking to change her life.
More pleas for Ginger were submitted by friends and Hollywood luminaries. 2 requests came from Charlie Sheen's family, including one from his father, Martin.
Martin Sheen wrote a letter on Ginger's behalf that pointed out to the judge how she had faced this prosecution with great courage, but it had taken a great toll on her.
Martin Sheen called Ginger a dear friend and said he was proud to be able to write in her support. The other Sheen letter came from Charlie.
Charlie's letter was in a similar vein, how he had been starting a treatment center for his own alcohol and drug problem, and that Ginger had helped him at a very difficult time of his life.
Finally, on September 23rd, 1991, Ginger's day in court arrived.
The day that I was sentenced was probably the most frightening day of my life. I was standing next to my attorney, and my legs, they wouldn't hold me up. My knees were shaking so badly. I'm thinking I can go away for 6 years.
In the end, all the adult film stars facing charges escaped prison terms, including Ginger. But the government's efforts left Ginger with feelings of anger and resentment.
It was a joke. I received 3 years probation, 750 hours of community service, and mandatory drug testing.
It was a great victory because Ginger was able to get on with her life and did not have to go to federal prison.
Throughout 1991, Ginger and Charlie Sheen continued seeing each other and worked on their sobriety. But by summer's end, Ginger felt Charlie had grown distant.
I think that he'd been sober for such a good amount of time that certain people in his life thought, okay, now it's time to move on to here. And they began to pressure Charlie to leave me.
In late 1991, Ginger's love for Charlie was put to the test. The actress claimed that during a phone call with one of Sheen's assistants, Ginger was told that Charlie was using the services of Hollywood Madam Heidi Fleiss.
She said Charlie had a baseball team at his home and enough of Heidi Fleiss's girls to go with the baseball team. And he wanted me to know that. And one of the things that Charlie and I had always had was honesty between each other. So he wanted me to know that he was cheating on me. And I came back and I was heartbroken.
The phone call resulted in a painful confrontation.
He was crying, I was crying. It was just, he couldn't take the pressure anymore from everybody telling him that I was going to ruin it for him.
Ginger realized the relationship was over.
She was heartbroken, absolutely heartbroken. And I know that, she started drinking again.
In early 1992, Ginger failed one of her court-ordered drug tests.
I didn't think about it. I didn't think it through. It didn't seem to matter. It was more important to me that I got high.
Police were alerted that Ginger violated her probation.
They were looking for her to arrest her. By the time we got back to the house, she was gone, and they had come and arrested her, taken her.
Ginger was immediately locked in a cell at the Los Angeles Metropolitan Detention Center, a federal prison. Ginger's first time behind bars traumatized her.
I was there for 17 days. It seemed like 17 years. I saw things I'd never, ever seen before in my life. I saw heroin for my first time. I learned how to mix and fix it and shoot up my cellie.
She was very shaken. She was very frightened. She talked about people being sent to the hole, different things people were getting in trouble for.
I learned how to make a knife out of a pencil and a rubber band and the razor that you shave your legs with. I was very reformed while I was there.
Coming up.
It's a dark comedy about suicide, betrayal, kidnapping, car theft, battered women, car theft, trout fishing.
Tonight, Anna Nicole brings her better half home for a tour of the new house.
We moved Howard Marshall, actually half of Howard Marshall.
This is the fireplace. There's the kitchen.
And you'll never guess his final resting place. It's an all-new episode you can't miss. The Anna Nicole Show, tonight at 10, only on E! For the first time, E! and Prince Edward go inside the lives and tragedies of the royal family. Royalty A to Z premieres next Sunday at 8, only on E!
In 1992, Ginger Lynn Allen became a federal prisoner. After ending her 2-year affair with Charlie Sheen, the actress failed a drug test and spent 17 days behind bars. Ginger's luck was due for a change. On March 3, 1992, 29-year-old Ginger Lynn was released from jail. That same night, Ginger was ordered to spend the next 4 weeks in drug rehab.
I spent 30 days at the Daniel Freeman Hospital. Got out, stayed sober for a while.
When she was released, Ginger continued pursuing legitimate film roles.
She seemed very upbeat and very sure of what she was doing, I thought headed in the right direction for mainstream and for what was ahead.
In 1992, Ginger got back in the game with the film Mind, Body, and Soul. Ginger was cast as a young woman who was brutally beaten and raped.
Why? Why did you take me to your home? What did you want from me?
It was satanic, and it really bothered me. I was very uncomfortable making that film. I just felt creepy. I didn't like the whole satanic vibe. I didn't like the things that were going on in the film.
Despite all her work in legitimate movies, Ginger seemed haunted by her past.
Porn follows you around your entire life. In every aspect, psychosocially, it's very difficult to maintain a relationship. It's very difficult to maintain a business. How many times do we have business meetings where we're staring at the tops of people's heads because they're fixated on our breasts?
Ginger's outlook improved that year with the release of another dark movie, Bound and Gagged, a love story. The film featured Ginger in the role of an abused wife who finds liberation.
No one had any fears or doubts. They were thrilled to have me in the film, and they really gave me an opportunity, and I feel that I shone.
In 1993, Ginger got permission from her probation officer to fly to France to promote Bound and Gagged. At the Cannes Film Festival, the actress and co-star Elizabeth Saltarelli attracted the paparazzi.
It's a dark comedy about suicide, betrayal, kidnapping, car theft, battered women, car theft, trout fishing.
Ginger and her co-star weren't the only ones turning heads at Cannes. Ginger's former boyfriend Charlie Sheen was there to promote his next film, The Three Musketeers.
I'll be Aramis in The Three Musketeers with Kiefer Sutherland and Chris O'Donnell. New Kid on the Block. We'll break him in slow. And we're still looking for the third. We're looking for Porthos. And we go off to Vienna for 10 weeks to start that.
And you know that silly commercial where the two people see each other and they run in slow motion? I was doing a press junket on the beach. Charlie was doing one, and we were down the beach from each other, and I saw him and he saw me, and it was just one of those kinds of a get-together, at least it seemed like it, and we hooked up.
Once more, Ginger and Charlie became inseparable.
He just kept saying, you know, tell me you still love me, tell me you still love me, and I did.
Ginger lost her heart again that spring, as well as her head. The love-struck actress flew off to Vienna with Charlie, although Ginger's probation officer had not approved her going to Austria.
When I flew back a week later, they were basically waiting for me. They drug tested me immediately. I failed and was put back in. This time the judge sentenced me to 3 months at Gateway CCC.
Ginger spent the summer of 1993 in a halfway house. During her stay, her luck seemed to improve. The actress was allowed to audition for a small part in a new television series called NYPD Blue. At the show's production office, Ginger was asked to read for the part of a stripper.
I get the sides and I read them, and there was a line, "Let me lick your lollipop." And I threw the script down, and I walked out. I got my car, I called my agent, I said, "I'm not doing this. I'm not going to say I want to lick your lollipop."
Ginger then faced executive producer Stephen Bochco.
I said, "Wait, to Stephen Bochco, I don't want the role." And he said, "Well, we'll change the line for you. We'll take it out." So they cast me, and I would get up in the morning and leave prison and go to the lot and film. You know, at first I thought it was just going to be for a while, but...
Oh, yeah.
Would it kill you to believe me? To give me a break?
Ginger guest starred in only one episode of NYPD Blue. After Ginger's 3-month confinement ended, the actress was again jobless. Ginger tried a new tack later that year. The actress started making self-improvement videos. Ginger Lynn Allen's Super Body was followed by Ginger Lynn Allen's Lingerie Gallery. Both videos were high on sex appeal. Lingerie Gallery rose to number 6 on Billboard's home video chart.
I worked very hard on this, and I put a lot of time and effort and love into this piece. Every little detail, from the wardrobe down to everything. And so I'm very proud of it.
During 1993 and 1994, Ginger continued her on-again, off-again relationship with Charlie Sheen. Despite their differences, Ginger clung to the hope that their romance could be salvaged.
I'd gone out to see him, and he had asked me to marry him. And I said, "Are you going to quit partying so much and quit sleeping with other women?" And he had friends there, and he didn't like that I said that.
Sheen's reaction was a wake-up call for Ginger.
It wasn't a satisfying, an honest, or a loving relationship anymore. I had this wall that I'd put up for such a long time, and Charlie was the first and only person since my grandfather that broke those walls down. He was somebody that I shared everything with.
She traveled all over the world to see this man. She loved him. And with all due respect, he was a dick. He broke her heart. And I don't know if she's ever recovered from that.
And I would have died for that man. I mean, I loved him so much. And I've never felt that way. It was very bizarre, and I never, ever want to feel that way again.
In September 1994, Ginger's 3-year probation period ended, and so did her love affair with Charlie Sheen. She celebrated by getting a tattoo of a pair of lips.
So I have the tattoo, and it is what it is.
Coming up.
I think Sterling was her greatest accomplishment. You know, that was the mainstreaming of Ginger, if you ask me.
Tomorrow, what makes someone the king?
Long sideburns.
His hips.
His lip.
25 years after the king, Brooke Burke honors Elvis with a star-studded rank,
He could do it all.
where the biggest celebrities are ranking all things Elvis.
My mom said he was a great kisser.
Rank everything Elvis. All new, tomorrow at 10 on E! The viewers have spoken. The Anna Nicole Show had the biggest reality series premiere in cable history.
He thumbs up.
The Anna Nicole Show, Sunday nights at 10 on E!
Hi, I'm Kim Pope with an easy way to clean and freshen your dry clean only and special care clothes right at home. It's Dryel. Watch Dryel work its magic on the smoke-covered sequin dress, the sweater engulfed in greasy food odors, and this makeup-stained cashmere top. Remove stains with Dryel Stain Remover. Then load the bag with the Dryel cloth and zip it. Put it in the dryer to steam it. The moist cleansing cloth creates a gentle steam cleaning environment inside the bag, so it works without damaging chemicals or shrinking and fading. Then take the clothing and hang it. See? They're fresh, clean, and beautiful as ever. Order the Dryel sample kit and you can clean and freshen up to 12 garments for only $6.99.